As the leader of the Booner Path, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff and Booner. It's Monday, November 3rd. Coming off a Lions loss to the Vikings. Lots to get to
Victory
today.
Monday.
It's I don't know what the opposite of Victory Monday is, but
Loser Monday.
Yeah, that's what that is. We're going to talk about it today. We're going to spend a lot of time on it. We'll have Cory Woods join the show. We're going to talk about the trade deadline in the second hour, so we'll spend a lot of time on that as well. So all the questions that people have or the concerns we will address today. Dan Campbell spoke to the media today. We'll play some of those clips as well. You know, we've had three of these type of Mondays or Tuesdays, and you know, it's about having some mixed in some tough conversations, honest conversations. It's good. It's not good, but at the same time, you got to face a little adversity sometimes. You know, you got to face a little adversity, and this team clearly faced adversity yesterday.
A lot of it.
Like clearly faced adversity yesterday. So yeah. There's a lot of things to get to today, Boone. But
yeah,
let's come off a loss and talk about it. Definitely.
That was a very interesting Sunday, to say the least. It was probably, and you know what's crazy is today, I love it. At the start of each week, the lines come out for, you know, the next game on Mondays. Everyone tweets them out. What were the Lions favored versus the Vikings? 8.5,
and then it went to 9.5 before game time.
They're the same versus the Washington Commanders. So it's like, as soon as you think like, okay, we've got to get, anything can happen. And you went in almost a double-digit favorite and you lost that game. And you got absolutely waxed at Ford Field. It wasn't like you were on the road and you got embarrassed. Like they got embarrassed. I'm excited to talk about it because I do have, listen, I had one of those moments last night, Jeff, when I got home. And this morning, where 2 years ago, the Booner Path, that whole saga came around when we were at Woodward. And that was because of the trade deadline. And the trade deadline is within the 24 hours. We're like, I don't know, 15 hours away, less than 20 hours away from the trade deadline. I was like, do I bring the Booner Path back? Or is this like this team just might not be able to do it? That's the conversation that I think we were having throughout the whole show, like 2 hours of what's happening here, because I can't wrap my head around it. And usually I feel I've got clear mind, clear eyes. Like I see this thing pretty well. I have for the last 2 years. Well, you did last year. I did the year before. I don't know if you're in the same spot as me. I got like blurry vision, man. Brain fog. I don't know what's going on with this team. I really don't. I'm so lost. I'm so befuddled. My brain's in a pretzel. You know, we love a good soft pretzel, but my brain shook. I don't know what else to say. I thought about it for the last 12 hours.
Yeah, it
was a weird night. It was a great night, to be honest, for a little bit, but it was a weird night.
I think the struggle is, you know, this is a good team. They're a good team. A great team, even. Like, they're one of the best teams in their conference. You know that personnel-wise. They have a ton of talent. But then they lose to the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy in his, second and a half start. I mean, he was there for, half the game against the Falcons, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you see that, and I can see why fans walking away from that is like, what? Like, what?
Do you know what wraps...
Yeah, it's a weird one, but yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying the thing that like I just see the comment Ryan and boys, we're good. I just for me, and I've always been for the last 3 or 4 years, the guy on every show I've been on, when we were at Woodward, when we were here, I've always been the positive. Shout out to D-Mac. D-Mac taught me all the time, you got to get that energy up. And I'm always that guy, right? And I want to be that guy today. And I want Doc to yell at me on Wednesday and stop telling the fans to calm down and stop telling people that we're good. It's just, there is a point where you do go hey, we've been good for 3 years. And I'm not saying good as a good football team, but we're good. Oh, we lose the Commanders game. We're going to be good. Guys get healthy next year. Oh, we lose an NFC Championship game. We're good. And then you lose versus the Commanders the next year. It's a constant, we're good. I think in the next 24 hours, it's like, I think we will be the whole we're good thing will go out there if Brad Holmes makes a move and there's actually like things that happen throughout the NFL with the Detroit Lions involved. But I just can't wrap my head around like going on. All right, should we just say it? Like, there's zero chance this team wins a Super Bowl if they don't make a move for different pieces. Like, there's no way. Like what you saw yesterday, there's no way. If they play like they did yesterday, they're going to make the playoffs and they might be able to win a playoff game. Can they win a Super Bowl? No.
Well, the concern, you know what it is, and Caleb actually said this, and I agree with him. That the concern for me is when they're good, they're great. They have these high highs, and then
really
they have
good,
these really low lows, and that's to me a more concerning than just kind of like instead of being just like a steady medium of kind of even if they're beating teams by like a touchdown, you know what you're getting. It's hard times they've lost. They've lost to the Chiefs, which again, like the Chiefs they're a good team, but that's still like they just didn't look like themselves in that game. Week 1, they didn't look like. I mean, that you could write it off, whatever. They didn't look like themselves at all. And then yesterday, people will say, "Well, you lost by 3." I mean, that game when you watch that game,
it's ugly. It sucked.
So that's where it's weird because then you see them score 30 plus in 3 straight games. Again, they beat the Browns, they beat the Bengals, whatever. They beat the Bears, they scored 50 on the Bears. And, they beat the Ravens with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. So that was a good win. But, and then you just had, it's a weird, I don't know. I could see why people would kind of be in this weird in between where it's like, what are we getting out of this team on a week to week basis? And that's probably surprising because over the last couple of years with Dan Campbell, it's been more consistent, but that comes, I think, with a lot of different reasons, which we'll talk about today. Like I don't think this is how I feel. I don't think there is one specific thing you can point to. I think there's different things you can point to why it's happening. I know Dan spoke about, which I have the clips, we can play it. He kind of spoke about the loss itself and, went into how, they just didn't execute. I mean, Booner, how often do we see this team shit the bed on all 3 phases?
That's
3 phases. Special teams, defensively, I think they were just put in some bad spots, but defensively, sure, and offensively. All right. How often do you see that?
Never. I don't think we've seen that since Dan Campbell's, since year 1 probably of Dan Campbell. The thing that scares me too, and this is where it's like it's a good and a bad. And I said yesterday in the postgame show when we talked about it, it's the fact that you only lost by 3 points, right? You are 8.5-point favorites, 9.5-point favorites at home. You lose by 3 points, but there was not one single good thing that came out of that game. So as crazy as it is to be like, hey, there's a positive. It's the fact that you played that bad on every single phase, like special teams. They ran the ball down your throat on every single return. You didn't get one good return. Every single thing in special teams was terrible. Jack Fox, Hogan Hatton, and Jake Bates were having to make tackles for you on special teams multiple times, which you never want, and you're getting field goals blocks. Defensively, you couldn't stop anything, nothing. J.J. McCarthy did whatever he wanted versus you. And then offensively, you did nothing. You ran the ball for 60 yards, which is supposed to be your bread and butter, and you could not run the ball at all. And then the only person you can get the ball to is Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra, and you can't get anyone else involved. So it's like the fact that you only lost by 3, that's why I'm like, hey, they can still win a Super Bowl. Like when I say that statement of, hey, I don't know if this team can do it, that's when like, hey, you just know this team at times can play this bad. That's not a good thing, right? Because that can happen at any time. You don't want to be able to see that. Like if you're this is the thing, like with the Eagles the last few years, when they won the Super Bowl, with the Chiefs, like all these teams that go win Super Bowls, you don't really see games like that, in my opinion. Like maybe here and there, but now this is the 3rd time. Like every time I texted the doc today, I don't know if you saw this, like every time you've played a decent defense, you've essentially, outside the Browns, you've essentially just got destroyed. Like you play the Chiefs, good defense, you lose. You play the Packers, good defense, you lose. And this Vikings team wasn't even one of the best defenses you played, and you still lose this game. So it's just like you can't wrap your head around it to where it's like, hey, if you really want to solidify and say like, hey, this team can go on and win a Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't know. Like I can't sit here and be like, yeah, it's a lock based off of that performance, based off of the Packers performance, and based off the Chiefs performance. Those are ugly. They were ugly wins. It wasn't like it was like, hey, we just lost, like missed a field goal at the end and we held with this team. No, you got dominated in all 3 of your losses. That's the concern, I think.
I'm telling you, whatever it is, it's teams with a good front 7. And it's not like, and you, by the way, you want to win a Super Bowl, you're going to face teams that have good front 7s. You're not going to face the Bengals or the Browns in the playoffs or the Bears.
No.
Well, maybe the Bears at this rate, but you get
that's the worry is 4 straight weeks or 3 straight weeks. You're playing great football teams with great front sevens.
And they're dominating the line of scrimmage. And that's what's going on. They're dominating the line of scrimmage. That's what's been going on the last.
Like Xavier D dominated. We lost by 3 playing like that's my point, Xavier, is you literally did not, there was not one positive out of it. You got dominated. And again, that's my point, that you can still be that's still a great football team, is that you got dominated the way you did and you only lost by 3. Yeah, but that was one of the worst teams in the NFC North, and one of the worst. That was a middle of the pack team that you played. So if you got dominated and you lost by 3, okay. When you got dominated by the Packers, you lost by multiple scores. When you got dominated by the Chiefs, you lose by multiple scores. With this team, it's like, hey, yeah, you should have won that game. For them to lose that game, they had to get dominated the way they did, and it happened. And I will say this too, Jeff. I don't know, this morning I didn't tune in because I wanted to hear and speak with you tonight. Dan Campbell, I love, how I feel about Dan Campbell. I'm a big fan of Dan Campbell. As a head coach, you cannot come out of a bye week and have the team play like that. If there was one phase of the game that was really bad, okay, fine. Just people didn't show up. That whole team just did not show up. They did not look prepared at all. Whether he thinks they had good practices or not, which we're going to hear him talking about in a minute, you still cannot as a head coach, especially a Super Bowl, you want to win a Super Bowl, you can't come out of a bye looking like that. And I thought Jim Costa tweeted it out today. I thought he said it perfectly. The 3 last times essentially you came off of a long-term bye. This last one you got destroyed. Coming off the offseason, when you have a whole offseason and essentially weeks to prepare for the Green Bay Packers, you got destroyed. And then your bye week last year in the playoffs, you come out of that looking flat versus the Washington Commanders. So the last 3 times that Dan Campbell's had opportunities to prepare this team and dominate, guess what he did? They did not do that, and they looked bad all 3 times. So obviously, you don't want to. I know a lot of people are like, well, don't compare a year ago. That's embarrassing. If I had to put credit on anyone, number one, to blame for this game, I'm going straight to the head coach, Dan Campbell.
I agree. Yeah, I
straight
agree
to Dan Campbell.
You got to go to Dan. I mean, because this is the thing with someone like Dan Campbell. No one's saying. I mean, you know how people are, Boone. You say one thing about Brad, you want him fired. You say one thing about Dan. Obviously, Dan's a great head coach. I mean, that doesn't change. But how you perform after a bye week is coaching. That's coaching. That's why you look at some of the best teams in the league from a year-to-year basis. That's why, the Chiefs after a bye are always dangerous, because Andy Reid and those guys come off byes ready to go and absolutely dialed in. And the Lions just did not look. I think Dan, I'm not saying the guy just kicked his legs up on the coffee table, didn't prep them. I'm sure he, did what he could, but for whatever reason, they just come out flat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
People argue the last couple buys, the last few years, they've been good, but the long-term breaks they've had the last 3 times,
it's just recently. It's just recently. Yes. Because during Dan's career, it is weird because bye weeks they've been really good. So I don't know what's been going on the last 3 times. I don't know. I'm glad you clarified that. Actually.
Guys coming out flat too. I don't even know. Maybe Dan thinks going into it, he feels good about it, and maybe it is the players and him not getting the guys motivated coming off of a bye week. And I'm not going to sit here and blame what guys did in the bye week, this, that. But that thing does got to get figured out. You can't come typically you would think is coming off a bye week. Most coaches would probably be very good coming out of a bye week. I know Andy Reid, very good. There are a lot of head coaches that are at a high level that you don't want to play them coming off a bye week. Yesterday it was it felt like they just top to bottom. There was no preparation, whether they thought they had good practices or not. Zero. It felt like they were just very, very underprepared. And they just quite frankly, they just got out toughed, dominated.
Yeah, they did. Which is it's uncharacteristic. It's weird. And again, let's play the clip. This is Dan Campbell after the game. Well, today actually. Well, I think it was today. Talking about the loss and kind of gave his thoughts. But here's Dan on that.
And us as coaches, starting with me, I got to coach it better. I got to get them ready. I did feel like we were pretty prepped. I felt like we were good going in last week. I thought the practices were sharp. They were intense, but we didn't play well enough. And so really, I know this sounds crazy, but it's Sky's not falling. We just didn't play very good. We just didn't play very good. And so much of it is the fundamentals and the discipline, which has not been an issue. And it did. It showed up in that game, and they capitalized. They did a good job, and they took advantage of our mistakes, and they got a dub because of it.
Yeah,
I expect to play better football, you know.
I think we could say, I've said this before too, like Dan, I know people probably get a little frustrated with Dan, with Dan, just kind of how he handles the loss. He says kind of the same things, but you have to understand, dude, like the way Dan addresses the media is not how he's talking to the players. You know what I'm saying? Like he's definitely communicating differently to the players. He's definitely like getting on people's asses. Like, yeah, I think he just handles the media. I think people expect him to go to the media and just start crapping all over the Lions. Like he's not that type of coach. He's going to take accountability. He's going to say it was his fault. And then he's going to go watch the film like he did last night. And today come into the press conference and kind of reiterate that it's his fault. He didn't get him prepared. But, you know, Dan is definitely like, he's talking with his coordinators and like, all right, guys, we got to figure this shit out. You know, we can't come out flat like that, especially.
It's embarrassing. You would have to think as a head coach, like, this is embarrassing that we were 9-point favorites
at
and got
home?
dominated. Yeah.
Like, this wasn't like in Minnesota, even though that would still be, I mean, you still should have beat them, but at home is almost a double-digit favorite. You come out looking like that. It's shocking. And the icing on the cake, not in a good way, the bad way, was the injuries, man. Like, felt like everyone was just getting injured yesterday. And not that they were all long-term, but Penei Sewell went out for a play or two with his shoulder. Taylor Decker looked like, and Taylor Decker, man, he's built different. I mean, this guy he's as tough as they come. He's dealing with the shoulder. Looked like he had an ankle or like a knee. He went back into the game. And then what else? They had Meek Robertson get banged up. He came back into the game. I mean, you had Christian Mahogany out. He's going to be out for a long time. Like, I'm trying to think.
Positives of Mahogany, it's not like the season. Like, they said he's going to be back. He had a broken bone. So I don't know. They didn't say, like, yeah. So I don't know what broken bone it is, but I think they said a broken bone. So I don't know if maybe we'll get a clarification in a few days what the specific bone is. So at least it's not, at the end of the day, at least it's not like it's the guy's like, I mean, an offensive lineman, you instantly think knee, and then you hear leg. Ryan said a broken Booner. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Am I missing someone?
Who'd you say? Who was all you said?
The offensive line, they dealt with injuries. Meek Robertson.
I mean, there is the Tate Ratledge one, which they said Penei's not practicing right now. His well, I think it was a shoulder. He looked like he did come down pretty hard on it. I'm guessing maybe he just popped it out, did something to it. He said he doesn't know if Penei will even play Sunday. So that's one to keep an eye out as well.
Yeah, it's just the injuries, man. It's just, but here's Dan also spoke about the injuries, and he kind of gave some clarity on that. But let's take a listen to Dan on that.
Decker and
Nothing new other than, nothing sounds long-term, which is good. That's good news. I think it's more about, are they going to be able to practice this week and are they going to be able to play this week? But nothing beyond that, I don't feel like, as of right now.
You see maybe limited at the very least, I guess, in practice, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I don't think either one of them will be able to practice Wednesday. Now, I hope they will. But there again, we just got out of the game. They're pretty sore, everybody that's played in there. So.
Tate, you think Tate's okay?
Yeah, I think Tate will be okay. Yep.
All right, there you go.
All right, Tate's good. Yeah. I wonder what the Tate thing was. I don't know if there was an update on that, but I'm interested.
At least he went back in the game, too. That was scary. Yeah. I mean, they were losing. Yodi was out there. And they don't have, offensive line depth is hard enough to come in the league as it is. And they had like 3-4 guys go down and come back in the game. Like, that's terrifying. It is. Yeah, terrifying.
It is. Well, Yodi, the good thing, like Decker actually brought up a good point with Yodi. And I know we're going to get into the trade deadline in the future and all that. Like, if Yodi has to go into the game, typically it's not like the end of the world. Yodi played in the NFC. I think he was the starting guard for the NFC Championship game.
Instead of Jonah Jackson.
Yeah, so if you need Yodi to fill in and kind of do that, you're not like, it's not the end of the world. You obviously don't want it, but that's
Oh, TA too.
Yeah, but I think TA was good. Didn't TA not go back in the game? He was questionable.
He might have. I don't remember. He might have.
Can we give credit to TA? Like for one time, he had a hell of a game. We've been sitting waiting for Terrion Arnold to have a game, and he's had good moments. Like we've talked about that. He's just had like those like one-offs, like every game where he has a hold or a penalty that like draws a big play back or gives the offense an advantage. TA was incredible yesterday, like multiple times, like big time pass breakups, one in the end zone, a couple on Justin Jefferson, his first interception, which was one of the best interceptions I think I've ever seen, actually. Just ripped the ball out of God's hands. And so TA, like if TA plays like that every game, he's one of the, he's your CB1 if he plays like that. He really is.
Yeah, he had a couple pass breakups. He had the interception, which was he basically fought for that interception as well. Like TA, man, it's if you want to point out a positive, he definitely was one of those positives yesterday. So I mean, he got a little banged up, but he was solid yesterday. You got to give love. People like to bring it up when he doesn't play well, so you got to acknowledge it when he does. And I guess he was a part of a discussions earlier in the year where you're like, is he going to be a problem this year? Is he the problem? Well, now we have to discuss what the actual problem is. What do you think? What's like the biggest concern to you coming out of that game? Because if I'm being honest, I don't think there is a clear issue. I don't think that's probably the more scarier part, if I'm being honest. I would rather prefer we come out of a game and we're like, oh, it's this. It's like, oh, we just need to fix that.
You don't think there's one glaring?
I think there's a couple things you can bring up, if I'm being honest. I think one of them is the offensive line, of course. I mean, we could talk about the offensive line. That's obviously a concern. But that's a problem. And once we talk more about it, I have things I wrote down here. We can discuss that. I do think there's partially a John Morton problem. I think John Morton's to blame for some of the stuff as well. And the other part is, honestly, it's a mix of a couple different things. I think, the run game, part of it, the run game's concerning. Like that's something that I'm looking at as basically the cog in the engine of this offense. And they just, I don't know, it's been up and down the last couple of weeks. Unless Jameer has a Jameer type of game, they just haven't been running the ball very well. And that to me is concerning. So you notice how all three of those things are on offense. There's not too much on defense I'm concerned about, to be honest, because guys are going to come back.
Yeah.
And, maybe you didn't have your best performance out of your best players like Aiden or Aleem, but that stuff I'm not too worried about long-term. But yeah, like three of the biggest things for me are on the offensive side of the ball, which isn't ideal.
I think not at all. I think like it's the biggest. I think there's one glaring thing, if I'm being honest. Like I get what you're saying, all three, but all three of those things, what do they all lead back to? Every single one of those things leads to the offensive line. That's the thing. Like if you can fix this offensive line, you can figure this out. Like you're talking about the run game, protecting Jared Goff, getting the pass game going. It all just turns that's what I was saying yesterday in the post game show. Is anything you can bring up that went wrong yesterday when you're talking about offensively? Why did it happen? All right, Jahmyr Gibbs had like one of the worst pass blocking running back days. I think I saw Easy tweeted out since like 2013. Like it was like an incredible number. Like it was an insane stat. And he put some of the videos and highlights in there. It's like Jahmyr Gibbs just straight up just could not block yesterday. Your interior, like Graham Glasgow was getting destroyed. Tate, Christian Mahogany, that interior was brutal yesterday. And it's just like the reason you're getting put, like I see Steve Wild's put in there, wasn't the 8 screen pass. The reason they're having to do these quick screen passes is because the offensive line's not giving Jared Goff any time. So now they're sitting there trying to figure out how can we get the ball out of this guy's hands quicker? Because the longer he keeps the ball in his hands, the guy's getting pressure and he's throwing the ball away or he's getting sacked. And he had 5 sacks yesterday. I think Easy also tweeted out like he's on a career path right now of getting sacked the most times in his career. And that's too, Jeff. You know what's crazy? And maybe that's with the Lions, but you know what that too, Jeff? Like that's with having multiple games with no sacks, like 3 games without giving up a sack. Like that's not good. That's terrible. So I don't know. I just think the glaring thing, like talking about yesterday, and I think it's the same thing. Like if you want to win a Super Bowl, if you want to be a contender, and if you want to continue this team, and we've talked about this for a year now, and it goes back to Brad Holmes just kind of ignoring and only drafting offensive linemen like Christian Mahogany later in rounds, and having to wait to replace, Frank Ragnow with an old Graham Glasgow, and, go get Tate in the second round instead of in the first round going after some of these offensive linemen. That's what this team's built on is the offensive line. And they've kind of ignored it because they've had such a good one, instead of addressing it and knowing, hey, Frank's going to leave, right? Like, do we actually, I saw people today, Jeff, tweeting out like mad at Frank Ragnow because he left, and they said you left after the draft. No one knew, or a couple days before. You don't think that they knew about that? Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But I think like tomorrow, I don't care. Honestly, I do not care if they get Trey Hendrickson. I do not care if they get an edge rusher. I don't care that the Eagles went and got an edge rusher. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is like, go get yourself like this interior head. You have to figure this out. You cannot win a Super Bowl if you don't figure out this offensive line. That's like the bottom line. I think that's what this whole problem is right now with this team.
I think it's a problem, and I don't think it's the sole issue. And let me explain to you why. Because I did the show this morning, and after the show, I started doing research because I was curious. I'm like, well, let me ask you this before we start. Would you agree that PFF is it's controversial with a lot of things, but you think offensive linemen probably more fairly accurate than others?
I think it's still kind of a give and take depending on what it is.
Okay.
I mean, we talked about it. It is. I would say out of all the position groups, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's still perfect.
Okay. So I would say, for me, I think PFF, I like it the most with offensive line play because they don't have stats or, it's a little hard. But again, like you said, it's not everything, but you get a little idea sometimes. Maybe we should wait on this because this is going to be a whole conversation. And we have Cory Woods. I think this will be a great conversation after Cory. Let me wait on that. After Cory, I want to get into the offensive line. Let's talk to Cory. He covers the Detroit Lions for MLive.com. It's a good tease. Stick around after. We'll talk about it. Covers the Detroit Lions for MLive.com. Our good friend Cory Woods joining the show after a tough loss. Voice of reason. Cory, how are we doing, my friend?
Yo, what's the deal? How's it going?
Well, it's going as worse as it could probably go if you ask the fans, Cory. And I think you're the perfect person to talk to today because, after a loss like that, people probably go in different directions. You have people talking about the offensive line, people going at John Morton, people want Brad to make a move. What was kind of your big takeaway from yesterday? And then we'll dive into specifics of the game, but just your overall thoughts on that performance and what you saw yesterday at Ford Field.
Well, I don't want to get too much into like revealing information I'm not supposed to, but in Greek life, black Greek letter organizations, we have a thing we like to say 7 P's, and it's like goes off like this: piss poor preparation produces piss poor performance. And that's just pretty much what it looked like for me. They just did not look like they were ready. Dan Campbell, last night he said that there was, he didn't have them prepared enough. Then he said today he thought they were prepared. They just didn't execute well. So maybe it's a mix of everything, but they don't want to cite rust, but they just did not look like they were a cohesive unit. This is the third time this season in their losses that they've said that there have been communication errors. And it's one thing if they just lost the game, okay, they lost to the better team, but to hear the repeat of communication errors of some sort in each of the losses, week 1 and yesterday, there were communication errors in the trenches. And then during the loss against the Kansas City Chiefs, it was communication errors with the trick play that got, called back. So I would say that part of it is concerning, that you have arguably their most talented team on offense and that they've had since Dan Campbell's been here. And you're now in the new year with coordinator John Morton, and you got Hank Friendly back, and you're still talking about communication errors.
Yeah, Cory, I kind of want to just going off of that right now, and I'm sure you're dialed into social media, Lions fans, and it feels like right now there's like the half, and we have it in our chat right now. There's like people just say we're good, and then there's also now the Lions fans that are saying like, hey, this is a concern for the whole season. Where do you stand on that? Now seeing yesterday's game, like you said, this is the third time there's been a game like this where the preparation really wasn't there. The Chiefs game, the Packers, and now this game. Where do you stand on kind of that side of the ball? Are you more so on like, hey, this is something concerning for the full season now in the Super Bowl run, or are you saying, hey, let's all relax here, they're going to get this thing figured out and make a run at this still?
I think that they can get things back on track. You know, they have a potential get back on track game this coming week with the Washington Commanders, who are going to be without Jaden Daniels, going to be without Marshawn Lattimore. So, I mean, they should be able to go into there and pick up that game and go ahead and improve the 6-3. But, that game that they have coming up after that against the Eagles, that's going to be the real litmus test of whether they can go ahead and kind of fix these kinks out. I would say my level of concern is if you're going to get on a scale on a 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, right now I would say I'm at a 6, because I do still believe that these things can be fixed because they still have Dan Campbell as coach. And one thing about him is that Dan Campbell does have this team prepared and ready to go after a loss. We're still talking about a team that has not lost back-to-back games since week 8 of the 2022 season. So I feel that they're going to be prepared moving forward, and I think they're going to have an opportunity to work out some of these kinks. But it just, again, let's just see how they come out the gate against the Commanders and kind of go from there.
Well, Cory, I think a good question for you, just your thoughts now that we're less than 24 hours away from the trade deadline, is what do you think Brad Holmes takes away from this game? Because I think I said this last week. I think this game, you were going to find out, Lions fans were going to find out, and I think the Lions, and just Brad and Dan, what they need or what to look for, and give fans a better idea on what to expect from this trade deadline. And I know people, you have your different levels of fan. You have the fans that maybe want to go all in, and I'm kind of in that category. And then you have other people that just want depth. How do you think the Lions handle the deadline? And then kind of what do you want the Lions to kind of do for the deadline here for a Super Bowl push?
Well, Jalen Phillips is off the table, so there goes my idea. I mean, I woke up this morning, I'm like, damn, the Eagles work fast. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't think he sleeps, Cory. I don't think that dude sleeps.
So there's that. Ben and I talked after the game, and he brought up something that I did not consider, that I actually think should be a trade that Dan goes ahead and make. Tennessee is not going anywhere. I think they need to go out and try to go get Kevin Zeitler back. I think that is a move that they should try to make to bolster this offensive line. I think that, you can go out and say that the edge depth, that they still need somebody at edge. And I still would agree with that. But if we're talking about priority, Christian Mahogany is going to be out till probably mid-late December. Taylor Decker, they said diminishing returns on that shoulder, and they don't know what he's going to look like this week. I think you need to go ahead and add some depth to that offensive line, because just looking at yesterday, I know that I saw some people foolishly kind of get at Jared Goff, but I'm like, if you were watching that game, that interior O-line was just not looking great. The pocket was collapsing, and you're talking about, with the way that Jared Goff was running for his life, he still completed nearly 70% of his passes, almost had 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and had a 108.4 passer rating while being hit 10 times and sacked 5 times. And the Vikings had I think 26 pressures. Jared Goff posting that stat line under that type of duress is insane. So I think you need to go ahead and prioritize giving him some more help on that O-line, because if he goes down, you might as well pull the whole plug on this thing.
Yeah, Cory, we'll go back to that trade deadline. I do want to ask you here real quick, just something, because you are in the building a lot. So you kind of get to see what these coordinators are like and what they're about. A guy that's taken a lot of conversation today is Phipp, special teams coordinator Dave Phipp. What are your thoughts on the special teams performance yesterday? Confidence level kind of moving forward. He feels like a guy that everyone loves in that building, and he's going to get this thing together, and this special teams unit's going to turn it around. But is there any kind of form of long-term concern for the special teams? I feel like this is multiple times the special teams has come out this season so far now.
Yeah, that was just one of their worst showings. They gave up that 61-yarder when the Vikings first got the ball from Miles Price. That was not good. And even the other one, the 99-yarder, that luckily that one got called back. The blocked field goal. It was just all around not the type of performance that you would want from that unit. And I will say this: if you get like consecutive weeks of that performance, I'm talking about over the next 2 weeks, consecutive weeks of that performance, then things are starting to look a little bit concerning, because you're right, they have not really looked that great this season. And the one thing that we do know about Dan Campbell is if he feels something is continuing to go in the wrong direction, he will make a change. Remember, this is a guy that stripped the play calling from Anthony Lynn, and he was basically just an OC in title for a name for the rest of that season. He moved on from Aubrey Pleasant quickly. Dan will make a move if he needs to. So I would say that if you get, 2 more back-to-back, or 3 consecutive performances of it looking like that, I mean, I can see Dan kind of, going in a different direction as far as like switching some things up, not necessarily like moving on from FIP or anything like that, but it has not looked great this season at all.
Yeah, I think the big thing too that fans probably wonder is what's going on with this run game. I mean, that usually Jahmyr Gibbs against the Vikings always has success, and I know the offensive line doesn't help, but just from you being around the team, is it you think what's kind of been your thoughts, I guess, on the because it seems like Dave Montgomery he had a decent game yesterday. He was the only one giving him any juice in the run game, but he's been a little up and down. Jahmyr Gibbs has been, unless Jahmyr Gibbs is just having a Jahmyr Gibbs performance, it seems like they struggle to really run the ball. It just feels like the Lions don't really have an identity on all. Oh, they do, but they haven't been able to really display their identity consistently on offense. Corey, is that the kind of feeling you get watching this team? Because it seems like in years past, like you knew the Lions were going to run the ball down your throat pretty much every game, but it seems like this year they just haven't been able to really establish that identity they typically do.
Yeah, I mean, and again, when you lose Zeitler and when you lose a generational center and Frank Ragnow, I mean, that just definitely takes your whole unit down a notch. Graham Glasgow has not looked the greatest this season. So, you factor all of that and combine, and then, yeah, I mean, you're going to get a unit that does not look as great as it should, because, I mean, the run blocking hasn't been there. The pass protection hasn't been there. And, their offensive line was actually, one of their stronger units for the past couple of seasons, under Hank Fraley. So that's why I said, at this deadline, they need to prioritize going to getting some depth from some teams that might be selling. And I think once they're able to establish that aspect of it, then I think things will probably start to turn in the right direction. But also along with that, one thing that I kind of noticed yesterday was when they were playing out of desperation to try to catch back up to the Vikings and get back in that game, they were moving with a little bit more pep in their step. They had a lot more pace. And when the Lions play a little bit more up-tempo and fast like that and playing a little bit more free, that's when they're at their best. That's when they can keep the defenses on their heels. I feel that outside of the scripted first drive, John Morton's offense has been very predictable and very conservative. It's been vanilla. And when you have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta that can just pretty much catch everything underneath, and they're super reliable. You got a guy like Jamison Williams that has the potential to take the top off the defense. You got an Isaac Tesla who you ranted and raved about, and you barely use him. It's like, and I said this, and a lot of people laughed about it, but I said this last night. It's like John Morton was given the keys to a Ferrari, and he's driving it like a PT Cruiser. And I just don't get it.
Yeah, that is a great analogy, Corey.
Not the PT Cruiser, man. That's
PT Cruiser, man. I haven't seen a PT Cruiser in a while. Hey, I do want to ask you, because we have this as a segment later in the show, and we're probably going to ask the people in the chat the same question. Where are you at with this team?
Oh, your mic muted. Yeah, that's the football god saying shut.
Am I back? Yeah, they were trying to. The football gods were trying to shut me down there. My question was going to be, Corey, are you confident in this team being a Super Bowl contender still, or are you right now a little bit more hesitant to throw that out there after seeing kind of these 3 losses that they've had, especially the one last night, where all 3 phases of the game just looked terrible, essentially?
Right now, I would say I would just have more confidence in saying that I still believe they're a playoff team. Until they've shown a consistency that they can correct these communication issues, that they can show that they can move the ball without outside of that scripted first drive or the defense giving them short fields, I can't say that this is a Super Bowl team. And it's not being negative. It's just that it's all about show and prove. If you took like last year's offense combined with this year's defense, Lions are hosting the Lombardi. I think that they just have to be able to figure out this offense and figure out, how to get the most out of this offensive line. And again, hopefully for your sake and fans' sake that they make a deal tomorrow to add some help, get some bodies in there. But right now, I would say I still feel confident that they're a playoff team, wild card team. But talking about Super Bowl, they have to show the consistency that they can figure out these kinks with this offense. Because, even though the defense did not play as great as they could have yesterday, they still played well enough for them to win. It's just that you put them in some situations that were just difficult for Kelvin Shepherd to be able to continue to ask some guys to, do what they could. It was not fair to them.
Yeah, last question for you, Cory. Tomorrow, trade deadline. If I told you over under 1.5 trades, where are you at? You think they make more than one trade, or you think it'll be relatively quiet?
Just hearing the way that Dan Campbell was talking, maybe it was just coach speak because you just don't want to tip your hand and say, yeah, we're going to be aggressive. I think that they make a move. Just what kind of move they make, it remains to be seen because, the past 2 trade deadlines, Brad Holmes has made a move. He got his Darius Smith last year. The year before that wasn't that big of a move, but he got Donovan Peoples-Jones. So he's been active the past couple of years. And if you go back before that, they got rid of Hawkinson a little bit early. It ended up working out. So, Brad is active. I think that if they can find a way to improve this team without giving up a lot, I think they will do it. But, it's kind of, I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle whether they're going to do it or not because it's kind of last year you kind of got a read on what this team was trying to do and what they're trying to be about. Right now, it's kind of a harder read. Yeah,
that's fair. We appreciate you, Cory. Keep up the great work, my friend. Good luck tomorrow. I know he'll be busy. Hopefully extra busy with multiple trades you're covering. You guys can follow Cory, of course, at Cory Woods, and we will talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, see you.
There you go. Cory Woods covers the Detroit Lions, MLive.com, joining the show, talking trade deadline, talking the loss, and there's plenty more to get to. And one of those things being discussing more about the offensive line because, like Cory said, they've obviously struggled. And I looked into it actually. Yeah, I looked into it today too. Last year, the Lions ran a lot of 11 personnel, so they had an extra receiver on the field a lot. That's why Tim Patrick was here. He was getting more involved. But they were able to do that because they were better as an offensive line. This year, they're running a lot of 12 personnel, so they're having another tight end out on the field. Hence why Brock Wright's out there so much catching passes because they're struggling to block. So they need an extra tight end out there, which means Isaac Tesla can't get involved as much as he probably wants to, or Khalif Raymond, or a true number 3 receiver. So that would kind of provide context on that. So they've had to run a lot of 12 personnel this year with Brock Wright, and they haven't been great in general. I actually, and this is what I was going to talk about before, Cory, and I looked into it. They are 21st on PFF when it comes to pass blocking. So they're 21st in the league, which is not good. And they're 11th in the league in offensive yards per game. So they're 11th in yards per game. They're 21st in the league in pass blocking. Here's the thing this is where I come from.
I've been waiting for this.
No, because it's not even
me on the edge of my seat.
I'm not trying to do like a debate. Gotcha. I want you to give me the reason. Tell me why this is, because this was confusing when I looked at it. I'm more just bringing this up so we could talk about it. So they're 21st in the league, like I said, in pass blocking on PFF, 11th in yards. They are 20th as a passing offense in terms of their grades. So like Jared Goff this year, just the efficiency, whether drop balls, connections, whatever. And it has to do with obviously him being pressured. You know I only have 2 examples. There's probably other ones I could dive into, but I just brought up 2 that are winning teams because the Lions are 5-3. I used the Rams, who are 6-2, and the Chargers, who are 6-3. Those are the 2 teams I wanted to bring up today. So the Lions are 21st in pass blocking. The Rams are 27th. The Chargers are 30th. So they're struggling as well. Obviously, the Chargers have injuries on their offensive line, and the Rams' offensive line isn't really that good protecting Stafford. That's just based on the grades. All right. And if you watch the games, like the Rams' offensive line has never been a great offensive line. The Rams are seventh in yards per game. The Chargers are top 5 in yards per game. And when you watch their offenses, it doesn't seem they're running into the issues that the Lions are. So I bring this up to add to you to say, although I think the offensive line is an issue, the things I look at with these teams, and the Rams being another example, is the reason why Sean McVay is such a great head coach is they're not pass blocking very well, but he can scheme around it and they can still find success. And I think, again, the offensive line for the Lions is a problem, but why is it that the Chargers or the Rams struggle to protect Herbert? And I think it's a quarterback thing as well. And I love Goff, but he's not great under pressure.
So,
either.
Yeah, I
have success.
I have this easily for you.
Worstly rated.
I see what you're saying. Like the stats when you do break it down, and you talk about like, hey, number one, and there's a different reason for each one. It's the same thing with any team. Like every team has a different reason why they're good at something. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing for every team. I think one for the Los Angeles Rams is, and I want to ask you this too to start. Who would you rather have as an offensive coordinator and mastermind, John Morton or Sean McVay?
Oh, no question. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that cancels out that one. And as much as I do love Jared Goff, we know what Matthew Stafford is. And Matthew Stafford, at the end of the day, like, arguably you would say Matthew Stafford is more mobile and can move around better than Jared Goff. And he can, some of his off-platform throws and the throws that he can make, I think is a different level of what Jared Goff can do. Now, also, if you want to take the Chargers one, I could take that one out of there real quick. It's just Justin Herbert's mobile. Justin Herbert can get out of the pocket. He can make plays. You put Justin Herbert not in like rushing yards when it comes to like Lamar Jackson's or Josh Allen's, but in the mobile of being able to get out of the pocket and make throws out of the pocket and avoid the pressures and actually keep plays alive. So that's why I kind of take Justin Herbert out of that equation. And then I think with the Rams, like I get your point. I just think there's a different scenario. Like I think with the Lions, and the reason I could just keep going back to the O-line is, like at the end of the day, one, you're either going to have one of the best offensive minds in the NFL, which you had of Ben Johnson, to be able to scheme things open for Jared Goff. Two, you have to have a top 3 offensive line in the NFL so you're able to protect Jared Goff and allow Jared Goff to let plays develop. Because if you're not scheming guys open and doing that, he's got to be able to sit in the pocket and let these plays develop and go out there and make those plays. You know what I mean? Like he's not running out of the pocket and extending the play. He's done it this year more than he has in his whole career, but that's not like, you can't rely on that. And you can't rely on, if Jared Goff has the 21st best pass block offensive line in the NFL, he's performing good, but you're not going to get the Jared Goff to where it's like, hey, you need to go out and get 30 points a game to win, right? And I bet you if you looked at each specific game, the games where they did score 30 plus, I could guarantee you that week that they were top 5 to top 10 in pass block grades in the NFL in those weeks. You see what I'm saying? Like I think the correlation would be there. And if you looked at yesterday's, I'm sure they were towards the bottom half of the NFL. If you go look at the Packers game, I'm sure they're at the bottom half of the NFL. And even the same thing for the Chiefs game. So I think that's what it is. And that's why I like, again, I continue to say, like, I think the number one problem to where this offense gets fixed if you have a top 5 offensive line. Like, and I know it's like, well, that's obvious. Like, but that's what you need. Like, that's what Jared Goff needs. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. That means you have a quarterback to where if you put him in a position, he's going to be an MVP candidate. And if you don't, you're probably not. Your offense isn't going to, run on all cylinders. And then you have to find ways like yesterday where they're still only lose by 3, but you're trying to find ways to get Sam Laporta quick. You have to do 10 screen passes in a game. That's how I look at it a little bit. And
yeah, it's just,
and I'm with you too. Like there is a percentage of where it is John Morton, and it's like, hey, you are struggling offensive line wise. Like, how can you get without having to do a million screen passes that not one of them in the game works? I don't think I've ever seen this season a screen pass work for the Lions. What else can you do? Can we get Sam Laporta involved quicker? Can we get an Amon-Ra St. Can we get a JMO boom quick route? Like you have to figure that. He just is not doing it too. So there is blame on him as well for that.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying. I think it's that's why I think, and obviously Sean McVay is like the extreme version. Obviously, he's one of the best play callers in the league. But the reason why I brought it up is because, there's other teams that deal with, bad pass blocking offensive lines, but they're able to scheme around it, and you brought up a great point with Jared Goff, because I agree with you. I think Jared Goff, this is the thing people have to understand. He's great against the blitz, bad when pressured. Those are two different things. It's when teams are blitzing, he's great against the blitz, but when they actually get to Jared, he's not great against pressure. That's been kind of the storyline there, and there's just no reason to me that, you have the Chargers and the Rams who, both their offensive lines are struggling protecting their quarterbacks this season. And the Chargers are first and third down conversion rate. And the Rams are what? The Rams are 16th in the league in third down conversion rate. And the Saints have a better conversion rate on third down than you do. Like that's
the third down conversion rate. You're 20 something. Like that's actually an embarrassing thing.
The Lions, there's not even a debate. They have the best. We said this so much before the season, so we got to keep saying it. They have the best collection of weapons in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
So I can't even That's why I agree. The offensive line's a problem, but this is on John Morton too. Like you have two, and I know it's sometimes it's a tough thing to figure out because you have so many weapons. How do you feed all these guys? You got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? You got too much talent not to get the ball to these dudes, man. Like,
it's frustrating too. I'm dead honest. Like it is very frustrating. Like a lot of these third downs. What's the thing that just keeps happening? And I know you and you're Jeff. Like when I say it, you're gonna think of a million plays. Jared Goff doesn't have enough time. Ball gets thrown short. Ball is behind because guess what? Jared Goff's getting hit. And it's like, okay, if we know, and this is where things kind of move a little bit, if you know your offensive line is struggling, you have to put guys in positions to be successful. If Jahmyr Gibbs cannot block a soul yesterday, all right, like I know he's a weapon. Get D-Mon out there. As crazy as it sounds, get Craig Reynolds out there who can block. But you have to get guys out there who can give Jared Goff time. I would rather have Jared Goff have time than have Jahmyr Gibbs out there every play blocking and getting blown up. And I know he doesn't do that all the time. I know Jahmyr can block. But do you see what I'm saying? Like in the middle of a game, let's make an adjustment. He's not blocking well. We're not getting, like Brock Wright. How's Brock Wright blocking? If he's not blocking, get someone else in there who can. Put Dan Skipper at tight end to get an extra blocker out there and pass block. I don't know. But you can't sit there and you can't have third downs, ball thrown short. You can't have third downs, Jared Goff not even be able to get the ball off and having to throw it away.
Yeah.
Can't have that. And that's why they're 20th. That's why they're 23rd or whatever it is.
Yeah, they're the Saints. Again, the Saints. With your boy Tyler Shuck.
He's converting.
With your boy Tyler Shuck in his first.
He's converting.
Oh, well, it was Spencer Rattler, now Tyler Shuck. They have a better third down conversion rate than you do.
Shout out Tyler Shuck, man.
That is that's just it's appalling. And like Cory said, and this is to me the best way to because this has been the biggest reason why people have gone at the Bears or Caleb. I was watching Colin Cowherd say this, and he's actually right. He was going at Caleb because he said Caleb on script is very good. Like in the first quarter, he's really good. And then after that, they kind of fall apart. I'm not saying Jared's like that, but what I'm saying is it's every game, your offensive coordinator is going to have a first drive or a first quarter, whatever, a bunch of plays scripted. It seems like the Lions look really, notice how they get off to these good starts. And then as the game goes on, it turns into like a chess match with offensive coordinator, defensive coordinators. And it seems like Kelvin thrives in those situations. And Johnny, most sometimes it turns like a little vanilla at times, or they get in these little like lulls where it just kind of looks blah, it looks meh. And that's where I think it's a little, it's surprising, and they struggle to run the ball, which I want to show you this graphic I showed you before the show. This is why it's important this is, by the way, this isn't a Jared Goff thing. This is really any NFL quarterback thing. You have to be able to run the ball. A run game helps any quarterback. And Jared Goff, since 2021, when he's throwing more than 35 times in a game, he's 11-21. All right. And now you might say, Jeff, 2021, they sucked. Okay, we'll go after the 9-8 season. He's 7-8. He still has a losing record. It's not strictly a Jared thing, but the reality is if you can't get this run game figured out, you're boned. Look at since 2021, less than 35 passes, 36-6-1. And people might say to me, Jeff, well, there's games where they're trailing. Let's look at the last couple of years. How many games you see the Lions really trailing in a bunch of these games? It's because you know why? They can't run the ball. and it turns into like a pass-happy game where they end up losing. The two examples I have, obviously this game, obviously the Packers game, the two examples, they lost both of those. And then last year, the one that comes to mind is the Bucs game where they were 1-7 in the red zone. That was with Ben Johnson. But like these games where you're having 50 pass attempts, you lose. So it's if you can't run the ball like they did yesterday, it's a recipe for disaster, man. Like that's you have the best backfield duo in the NFL.
Yeah.
If these two dudes aren't hitting on all cylinders, or you're not running the ball effectively, like I know people would say, well, Jared could just be a little more mobile. Well, too bad he's not. So you can't say it. He's not going to just get mobile all of a sudden. So he has to have a run game. That's the only way, Booner. Look at the difference, man. Like the winning record. You win games if Jared can run the ball. Point blank period. Yep. It's how it goes.
Yeah, I think that's in the NFL just in general. Dan's talked about that for years. Like if you can run the ball, you win in this league. If you can't, you won't.
Yeah,
and it's like every team. Like
guessing, play action. Like Jared.
The reason the Eagles were so good last. Yeah, the Eagles were so good last year. They had Saquon. People are like, well, Saquon didn't do anything in the Super Bowl. They got to the Super Bowl because of Saquon Barkley. You know, there are one-offs with like the Chiefs. Like they've never really had the best run game. You have Patrick Mahomes, right? Like it's such a one-off. But I agree with you. You do have to. You genuinely you have to have, especially if you're this Lions team. Like you rely on that. That's like your bread and butter because Jared Goff's one of the best play action quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you don't have that, if you don't have a run game, your play action's not there. It all goes hand to hand. And like I brought it up like after the last couple games, remember I brought up like just looking at like each drive offensively and kind of and there was like the second half of even it was like a win a couple weeks ago. They were like 1 for 5 or 1 for 6 offensively scoring in the second half. I mean, you even look at yesterday's game. They punted the ball so many times. You had a punt, 1 punt in the 2 punts in the first quarter. You had 2 punts in the second quarter, and you had a punt in the second half. You had 5 punts. This team should punt once or twice. Jack Fox should never have to be on the field with the weapons you have. That man was on the field 5 times yesterday. 5 times. When was the last time we were like? How many times in the last 2 years did we see Jack Fox with Ben Johnson on the field 5 times? Genuinely, I don't know if we ever did.
Yeah, no, I don't.
5 times. I mean, that itself is ridiculous, dude. How many of those were 3 and outs? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of the 5 times were just 3 and outs. You got nothing going. 4 3 and outs in one game for a Lions team with the weapons you have. That's embarrassing. That might be more embarrassing than losing the game.
Yeah, that's Jack Fox. He's working overtime, man.
4 3 and outs for this offense. I don't care what offensive lineman got hurt.
I don't want to hear anything about the defense. Dude, J.J. McCarthy scored 17 points on short fields. Like, what do you expect your defense? I get like Dan was like, well, they got to get a stop. They like when J.J. had to go the full field, they got stops. Yeah. It's just when they have these big returns or
Special teams brutal. You tie the game if you hit that field goal with Jake Bates. If that doesn't get blocked, it's a tie game.
Dude, like the defense, like I'm not even gonna. Kelvin Shepard isn't even like on my mind. He's like, I'm not worried about that dude.
I do think there were times defensively where like, how do you like third downs?
There were some guys, like Aiden didn't show up yesterday.
Yeah, there were big moments where you expect a good defense to like, and that's just what honestly, Jeff. If I'm being honest, I do know I'm 100% with you. I agree with you, but that was a game where. We talk about it all the time. Like Dan's like other phases have to pick the team up. That was just one where you're like, we really needed the defense to pick up the offense and special teams.
And they couldn't do it. They ran the ball all over.
Yeah, and they had third down opportunities to get stops, get off the field, and they just could not do it. Like it felt like that last play of the game where like you just need one stop to get the ball back to put Jake Bates in the position, and it's just 1-on-1, dude, with Eric Hallett or someone on the outside. It was just like, you got to get those stops. If you want to, I get it. It's like you're putting your defense in a bad position, but you just have to step up, man. You do. But I'm with you. They're probably the third. If you did rank the 1, 2, 3, it's probably, honestly, I'd go special teams 1, offense 2, defense 3, probably. If I was to rank the phases.
Of yesterday?
Yeah, the special teams, man. That was.
Yeah, I mean, they had like 30 yards to score. I mean, that was bad.
If the special teams is just average yesterday, you win the game. As bad as the offense
made the
was.
field goal, they would have been tied. It would have been a tied game.
It would have been tied if you don't give up those massive drives. I bet you they scored on those as well. You're probably winning the game.
Well, one of those, people forget, one of those was called back.
I think it was a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a return.
I mean,
What?
shout out. Michael says, Jeff Iafrate, I will admit it. You were right about Ben Johnson. I said he isn't shit. It appears he was.
Ben Johnson's a great head coach.
Now, can we just say, in this, Emma, I just want to say, like, for Lions fans, I wasn't mad at people for, like, shitting on Ben Johnson. Like, I get it. I understand it. But I'm glad that Michael says this because it's like, it's okay to admit, like, the guy's an excellent play caller. It's okay to say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool.
He's actually turning into a really good leader. I hate to say that.
And that was the biggest thing with Ben. People were questioning, which, like, people wanted to see if he could become a leader. Like, people, they're like, I was a Bears fan for saying the guy could coach. I mean, but I get it. I mean, I understand. He goes to the Bears. Everyone hates the guy, but we'll talk about it.
Honestly, it was a fun bit while it lasted. I enjoyed the Jeff's a Bear fan bit. That was a really fun one.
Because it'll be a good conversation because the Packers lost today. But can we get into this? I want to get into the Super Bowl combo. I was excited about this one. I'm fired up about it. I do gotta tell you about our friends over at Comer and Cross, though, before we get to that. So we'll see you right after a quick message. I've interrupted the video to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Comer and Cross, and their one-day installation for concrete floor coatings, garages, basements, patios. They do it all. And I'm sure you're tired of staring at your crack-stained garage floor. Well, I have the answer for you. Comer and Cross in their summer installation sale, they're offering 12 months same as cash or $500 in savings. Why put it off? You can contact the number 248-834-3488. They transform patios, pool decks, basements, even driveways. They do it all. And the best part is they move the stuff out for you. They repair your cracks and pits before applying your stunning new floor, guaranteed. Comer and Cross concrete floors never chip, crack, or peel like epoxy or paint. Again, you could call the number 248-834-3488, or you can book your free estimate at comercross.com. Let's get back to the video. All right, let's have this discussion. All right. Are the Lions, or do you believe the Lions? We put this on our socials. Do you believe the Lions are Super Bowl contenders after yesterday's performance? That's the flat out.
Can we read a couple of these comments? I mean, it's funny. I enjoy.
You know what? Before we do that, I'm going to put a quick poll in the chat. You guys vote on it while we're reading these, and then we'll recap the poll. I enjoy some of the comments. Some are a little meh, whoa, but some are I think they're funny. All right, poll is live. Vote on that poll. We'll look at some of these comments here. So the Trickster says not without some major help on the O-line. Detroit Diehard says,
this is a good one.
You are an idiot. We are hurt all over and never play well after a bye. That's a lie. I do think we cannot have the number one seed because we look so sloppy post. He just contradicted. Wait.
Yeah, this is what's funny. Where it's just like you just said, if you're an idiot if you say no, but then you gave every reason why they might not be.
Of course
Easy
they
said.
are.
By the way, we didn't even talk about this. I'm sorry. Easy said Booner looks richer today. Have you watched the watch party yesterday? It hit.
Yeah, the parlay that we were talking about.
I needed Trevor Lawrence to score a touchdown to win. The number was big. I mean, I don't even know if I could say the number. What was the number? The end number?
IRS 20. Might be watching. I wouldn't say the number.
It was $5 to win 2,300. I think it was the end number. I've bet so many times in my life. That was I'm not gonna say the biggest bet I've hit, but odds wise, when it's talking about odds wise, that was one of the most incredible. $5 to 2,300 was. Yeah, I in shock, dude. Honestly, no, that was cool though. That was incredible. It was plus 75 or 78,000.
Never seen those odds.
I don't think anyone. I mean, I would be shocked if other people are like, "Yeah, I hit that." No, I don't think that's like a once in a lifetime hit. Felt good though. All right, back to the.
This comment says play calling's been shit all year. O-line is busted up and needs solid help before the deadline. I don't have faith in John Morton. Doesn't look any good. Sending up the bat signal. John Gruden froze.
That's such a good. See, this is what I was like. We gotta read some of these comments. That's such a good one. Oh, the Millennium Force. Is that the Millennium Force from?
You know what? I think it's the official
9 followers.
with the Janet Jackson.
I was thinking Millennium Force the Cedar Point ride.
The way they played yesterday, absolutely not. However, if they just switch things up, not make things so predictable, and disrupt the opponent on both sides of the ball, they can go far. But that O-line they have, it's a tall task. You see, as long as Dan takes over play calling and you get help at the
Seems to be. I think it's everyone has the same thought process in the same.
Can we please? By the way, can I just say this? And I'm going to try to say this as respectfully as I can to MCDC. I love Dan. Dan knows his strength. All right. Dan is a leader of men. Dan is he's an offensive guy. Don't get me wrong.
Don't say what you're going to say.
But I don't want Dan calling plays. I'm good. And the reason why I say that is because does Jim Harbaugh ever call plays? Does John Harbaugh ever call plays? No, they don't, because they're great coaches. They know what their strengths are. Like, people think that Dan calling plays would fix everything. It's not. Like, Dan empowers his coordinators, just like the Harbaugh brothers do. Like, a lot. That's his type of coaching style, and that's okay. He's not Sean McVay. He's not Andy Reid. He's not like Ben Johnson likes to call plays. He's just a different type of coach. So, like, I think people think that's the fix. It's not the fix. It's not. Like, it's just not. I'm sorry. So I just want to say that. Like, Dan Campbell, I don't think he would. I think if he had to call plays, he'd be like, I'll do it. But I don't think. Give me that play call sheet. Like,
you want me to be honest with you? Like, I do think, and I think you definitely disagree. I think Dan would be good at it. I think he'd be better than probably John Morton. And I'm not saying John's doing a bad job, because I think the offensive line is. I'll die on the hill. I think Dan would be good at it. I don't think Dan's given enough credit. I even think when Ben Johnson was in town, and I think this actually came out. Could be wrong. I think it came out that Dan at times was giving play calls to Ben, and was.
Of course he was.
You want to you anything that takes away from Ben Johnson, you're like, of course.
No, it's not Ben. It's just Dan. Like, I just think.
But why can't he get a little credit and be like, hey, like.
No, Dan's an offensive guy. He's an offensive guy.
So I mean, if he took play calling over, I don't think it would be like, oh man, no. Dan. But I am with you. Like, it takes away from coaching, and it's not something his bread and butter is that.
Yeah, like, I think.
But for you saying that, like, it's like being like, well, Ben shouldn't be a head coach because his bread and butter is play calling. It's like, no, but like Dan can do both too if he had to. It goes both ways.
The difference is I've seen the guys I'm bringing up do it at a high level. We've never.
But you haven't seen Ben do it when he got the job. You've seen him only play call. You haven't seen him lead a full locker room and do day-to-day stuff.
I'm confused with your point. I'm confused what we're talking about. We're talking about play calling, like play calling.
I'm saying it goes both ways. Like, to your point, you're like, Dan's best at being the head coach, right? Like, that's what he's good at, is leading the men, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what he is as a
so
head coach.
Him having to play call would take away from him doing that.
No, I just don't think play calling is his thing.
I disagree. I think if he had to, he could.
Then why hasn't he? Just take it over.
I think that there's going to be a point to where if the offense struggles to a certain point, I think he will. He did it.
I don't think Ben Johnson can ever be the leader Dan can be, but I think he could be a decent. Like, I think he's a
okay. That's where that was the point I was making 30 seconds ago. Where I was
I don't think Dan should do it. I don't think Dan.
Okay. Me and you are on the same page, because I think Dan could be good. He would never be a Ben Johnson play calling, but he could be a really good play caller. It's the same thing with Ben. Ben can never be Dan Campbell.
Well,
but he could be a great play caller. It goes both ways. You literally just said it.
No, I don't think that we're on this, because I don't think you can say Dan would be a really good head play caller with no evidence he's ever play called.
I didn't say really. I said he can't be Ben Johnson play calling, but he can be a good play caller.
No, take Ben Johnson out of it. I'm just talking about Dan.
Yeah, our points are the exact same, dude.
Yeah, no, then I agree.
You're like it's the same thing with Ben. When Ben took the job, you can't be like, well, Ben's going to be a good head coach. You've never seen it.
Why do we keep bringing up Ben?
Because you're talking, like, you brought up arguments of play callers and also of people who are coaches. Do you not see what I'm saying? I don't understand how you just don't understand.
Ben was going into his first. I'm talking about through Dan's tenure. He's never called plays.
Exactly. You've never seen Ben be a head coach, and you've never seen Dan be a play caller, OC. So my point is, you're saying you're not guaranteed Dan would be a good play caller, a great play caller. You weren't guaranteed Ben would be a good head coach. I think it's the same thing opposite wise. I don't know why you're making this very confusing. It's literally.
I don't know. I'm not talking about Ben. I get your. I don't know.
We were comparing them, and it's that same thing.
No,
the
I'm
opposite.
not comparing. All I brought up with Ben is you said like, well, there's reports that he was helping Ben call plays. Like,
Yeah, he was. That's a fact. Like there was play calls that he was making. I mean, that came out. I think they talked about it. I think Dan's talked about it. I think like they've had those conversations. That there were moments in games throughout the last few years where Dan was like, "Hey, we're like I want to do this."
Well,
I'm
yeah,
90% sure that's came out.
I want to do this. This is what it's going to look like.
Yeah, like on the headset in the game, like, hey, this is what the play. This is what we want to run, and then they run it.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have input. I'm talking about play.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, that's all I said.
Yeah, and I'm not
saying the guy was in there like.
But I think Dan's the type of guy where it's like on 4th downs, maybe he steps in like we're doing this and this is what we're doing. But I think he let Ben pretty much call plays. I don't even want to talk about Ben because then it seems like I'm not even talking about Ben. I'm talking about just Dan as a play caller. I don't think that's his lane. That's the point I was making. I don't think that's his lane. Like, I think John Harbaugh knows defense. I think Jim Harbaugh knows offense. I don't think they're dumb or anything. I just don't think they're not play callers. Like, and that's okay. Dan can still be a great coach and not call plays. So for all the people out there that are like, have Dan call the plays, he's not going to do.
Can we make this simple on what we were saying? Do you want me to break this down to you or no?
No, we don't need to break.
All right. I mean, it was pretty simple, but
it's just that was my essential point, and we agree. I think we agree on that. That I don't think Dan would want to call plays. I don't think that's his lane. So it's like, it doesn't mean he doesn't know offense. I'm not saying that. I think he knows offense. I think he helps out with game planning. But there's a difference between game planning and like throwing ideas out there than going out there with a play call sheet and calling plays. So yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Does a special teams touchdown count as a defensive touchdown in the sports books?
No. No.
Just had to check.
Why? Did you bet a
well, I mean, I told you there was like that parlay that just popped up on my algorithm, and it was the Dallas Cowboys defensive touchdown and Jacoby Brissett touchdown, and they just blocked a punt and scored a touchdown. So I don't know if that counts as a defense.
Cowboys losing?
They just scored. It's 10-7 now. It's about to be.
So to answer that, so I wanted to address that comment. We got carried away there. But do you think the Lions are still Super Bowl contenders? Because I'll tell you this right now. As of right now, I don't think you can be a Super Bowl contender if you're inconsistent as they are. They have to show. I'm not saying that's the end all be all. They have a lot of season left. They can obviously show that. But I think through 8 games, I don't know how you can look at this team and say the only argument you have is the talent, which is fair. But name me a Super Bowl team that is this up and down, highs, lows, super high highs, super low lows. Usually Super Bowl teams, I'm not saying you're not going to have a bad game, here or there, but they're just way too inconsistent for me to say that this is no question they're a Super Bowl team. I don't think I can say that right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, we've definitely seen teams, and this is where I will go. Like, if you want to have a little confidence, if you want to have like someone on the other side of it, because I kind of agree with you. So I don't want to, like, if I was to like put my life on it, can this team win? Is this team going to win the Super Bowl? I wouldn't put my life on it, but just to be on the other side, there have definitely been teams that have gone up and down and have had bads in seasons and have gone on to win the Super Bowl. Like you saw like that Rams team a couple years ago, they weren't perfect all year. They only won like 10 games, I think, or 11 games throughout that season. And they had their downs, right? Like they had moments where you're like, hey, can this team do it? I think the Eagles last year had a couple moments like versus that Panthers where they should have lost to the Panthers. And it was only because the Panthers dropped the ball at the 1 yard line, Xavier Legette. And that would have been an unbelievable loss. And there were moments last year. I think there is for every Super Bowl team. I mean, it really comes down to there's 2 things. One, what does Brad Holmes do in the next 24 hours? Does he make a move? Does he bolster up this offensive line? And can they figure that out? And number 2, like, let me ask you this, Jeff. This Lions team playing at their best, their peak, are they a Super Bowl contending team?
Yes.
So I don't want to take away that say this team can't win the Super Bowl and they can't still get this thing done and they're one of the contenders that they have an opportunity to do it. But if this team, it's November 3rd right now, right? The season ends in January. If they could find a way in the next 2 months to get to that peak by the end of December, early January, they'll have a very good chance of winning a Super Bowl. Because I still think this roster, you still have, again, we've said it this whole show, Jeff, some of the best weapons in the NFL. You still have an MVP candidate in Jared Goff last year, and when he's playing at his best, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You have a better defense than you've had the last 2 seasons with Kelvin Shepherd at the helm. And you're going to get DJ Reed back. You're going to get guys healthy back. Kirby, guys are going to get back. It just comes down like it's those 2 things. It's offensive line, and it's like, can this team get healthy and can they play at that peak? And they don't even need to be playing at 100% of that peak. I think this team's good enough to win a Super Bowl if they're playing at 90, 85% of that peak, and they can get to 85, 90%. But it's just about, can they get there at the right time in the right moments, and can they kind of stretch that out a little bit? Because we've seen this team do that throughout this season, but it's like you said, it's inconsistent. And when you get to January, when you get to December, and you get to February to win a Super Bowl, you can't be inconsistent. You have to put 3-4 weeks together to go on a run.
Yeah, because you're in a gauntlet. Your playoff
team. Like if you're in the playoffs, you have one down week, you're done, right? Like you're going home. So can they do it? Yes, can they do it. Confidence level, I think, has dropped significantly on them being contenders as of right now. You got to see more. And I think even Dan, I think all these guys would say that. Like, hey, last night, like, I understand if you guys don't have us as a contender right now. That's our job to go prove you wrong.
In the thing that frustrates me is all I've been asking for over the last handful of years is a Super Bowl level defense. And they have, I believe, a defense that is right there. I think this defense, it sucks because if they were healthy last year with what they did offensively and they had this defense, they would be damned.
They would win a Super Bowl.
The frustrating part is this year their offense has been so inconsistent. And the thing I brought up this morning is, well, actually, we just talked about it earlier in the show. You're going to face good front sevens in the playoffs, and we know Jared Goff and what he is when he's under pressure, not against the blitz, under pressure. And dude, if they play like they did yesterday, it's going to be a long day on offense in the playoffs. Like you're going to face better teams with better, like, okay, think of it like this. You see the Seahawks last night, and I don't think Darnold's a world beater, but like that team, you can't just lull through that game. Like that's a great
No. Yeah,
JSN's playing. He's on pace for 2,000 yards.
But the problem is, if this team's playing at their best, they will be. And honestly, it wouldn't be just beat them. Like they would beat them by double digits, right? Like that's how good this Lions team can be. So it's like, that's why I say, if you can get to 80%, you can beat the Seahawks. You can beat these teams. Right now, like what was yesterday? I mean, they were 20% of what they could be.
Dude, they were terrible. Yeah, they were.
And to see a team that could get that low, that's scary. Like that, to know a team could be that high and that low, that's nerve-wracking, man. You have no clue what this team will do.
That's why I thoroughly believe, and me and you are in lockstep, this deadline has to be busy for Brad Holmes. He has to be busy. And I spoke about this on the show yesterday, in the postgame show. I don't want to be the Steelers, man. All right. And I'm not talking about the Super Bowl winning Steelers. I would, of course, take a Super Bowl. But I don't want to be a playoff team every year and you just float around and you lose and you maybe pop in an NFC Championship game. I don't want to do that. I want to win a Super Bowl. That's why you play the game. You don't play to make the playoffs. You play to win the Super Bowl. So, like, for me, I don't want to be the Steelers, dude. I want to be the Rams. I want to be the Eagles. I want to win a Super Bowl. And I think that has to do with obviously having a talented team, which I think they do have, and they have a young team, which is good. But it also comes from like a general manager perspective. You got to be aggressive. You got to understand the moment. You got to understand windows in the NFL. And you got to look at this team and say, listen, man, we got talent. We got guys that are under contract that we might not be able to extend. We have guys that are in their primes. It's time to strike right now. We don't know how much longer Taylor Decker has. Like, Brad has to look at this deadline and think long and hard, same with Dan, about how you want to handle this thing. You want to coast and not make a move and roll with what you have? Or do you want to say, hey, you know what? Let's stack up. Because I'll tell you this, like, in the Eagles, I think what they did with Jalen Phillips is really smart because they traded a third-round pick, but if Jalen Phillips leaves, they get a compensatory pick. So Howie Roseman planned that out. They're going to get a pick back if he leaves. So it's not even about, like F them picks. No one's saying F them picks and trade away first. Like I saw a report that Trey's going for a first. Like, okay, like I understand for an 8-game rental. Like I would understand why you'd be hesitant on that. But go make a move. Joel Bitonio, the left guard in Cleveland, he would fit perfectly to replace Christian Mahogany. He would slot right in. You don't have to make him play out of position. He would be an excellent addition for a team. I know the Cleveland Browns are technically, they're reporting they're buyers of the deadline, which is stupid. But if they're selling, go get Joel Bitonio. Go inquire about some other pass rusher. Go inquire about a corner, whatever. They got it. They got to make a move. And I would say, and that's why I gave Cory the over under 1.5. You asked this yesterday. I think it should be over. I think it should make 2 trades.
I think it should be. I'm with you. I think the thing too, the point you brought up with the Eagles is like some of these guys on expiring deals, the Eagles have done a good job at that every year. The Chiefs do a good job at that, the 49ers, of bringing guys in on expiring deals, because like the way the comp picks work, to get a comp pick, you have to have more players essentially leave at the end of the season in free agency than you do sign them and sign players. So the more players you bring in at the deadline that are walking away gives you a better opportunity to get a comp pick, right? Like, and if you're giving up with the Eagles, you give up a third, right? That's another player. Like, you don't have to if you don't re-sign Jalen Phillips, you put yourself in a position to get a third. And it's like, why wouldn't Brad want to do that? Give up a third, put yourself in a spot to where you have opportunities to get these comp picks as well. They've done it in the past. I think obviously he went out and got a couple smaller guys, and maybe that was more so when you look back at it, maybe a little bit more strategic. But a lot of these contending teams, to get more picks and like, hey, we're going to give up a third, knowing we're not going to re-sign him and put ourselves in a position to get another pick back, and it's essentially a rental for free, right? Yeah. That's what they need to be looking at. They need to look at that. And that's why I think the more they do it, like when you do look at the Eagles, they get multiple guys that are on expiring deals. They do that. And then they sign 1-year deals as well. Because guess what, with the 1-year deals, you're probably not signing those guys again next year. That's more players that leave in free agency. Guess what that means? That's going towards more comp picks potentially. So that's what, and Ghetto Boy wants, so we don't have a third to trade because of the Tesla thing. You did give up 1 million thirds for Tesla. So it does suck. I mean, literally, honestly, listen, hindsight, one of the biggest reasons, at least at crunch time when we were doing the show, one of the biggest reasons that we were upset about the Tesla thing, it wasn't the player, but it was giving up all those thirds. And what was the one thing that we actually said during the draft show? I think I might have brought it up. Someone brought it up. Those third round picks are useful at the trade deadline, right? Very useful. That third round picks are dealt at the trade deadline.
Yep.
We literally talked about that on the draft show, was like, hey, when the trade deadline comes around, keep an eye on those third round picks because you just gave all of them up. So great point from Get a Boy One there. Great point.
Yeah, they have a second. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm just looking at the landscape right now. I like the Joel Bitonio move because it makes more sense than a guy like Kevin Zeitler, even though I love Kevin Zeitler, but you would be basically in a pickle with him and Tate Ratledge where they both play right guard. So you're either going to make Kevin Zeitler play left guard at his age, or you're going to make Tate Ratledge play left guard as a rookie. So you rather just have an easy fill-in, the guy you can slot in, and Joel can do that. I think Brad, it just has to be, I think I'm hoping that loss, you mentioned this on the post-game show, like maybe, and actually Hutch said this apparently to the media as well, like maybe it's a little blessing in disguise. Hopefully it woke Brad Holmes up out of everyone a little bit.
Dan said it in his press conference today.
Did you hear what they asked him? Which I'm worried about. I'm worried about this. They said, will you look at guys returning as kind of a deadline? Like, like it's like, oh, we're getting additions. Like, is that kind of your?
And he said, yeah.
And he's like, well, yeah, we are getting some guys back. Please don't look at guys returning.
So
please.
Dan's quote today, when he was asked about it, he said, this may have been the best thing that happened to us. We had to overcome this. We have to do, all right, don't read it. I typed this really bad, but he said, this might be the best thing that happened to us. This might force change. Like, that was part of, not exact quote, but he said essentially, this might force a change. So when you hear that, you go, okay. And then he also brought up today, he talked about how they need to still sit down and like they've already graded some players for their trade deadline. Like they've already talked about it. And he's like, I can't give you guys if we're going to do something or not. But, last week he was like, we're not going to be that active. But then today he didn't say no. Like he was like, yeah, we're talking about it. We're having conversations. Yeah. What's going to happen too, right? When we get off the show, there's going to be a trade.
Well, I was like Cory. I woke up. I was up this morning, and boom, popped up on my phone.
Phillips, right on my phone as soon as I woke up.
Guys sleep, dude. I mean, it's 7 a.m. They trade for Jalen Phillips.
Yeah,
it's not like they're on a different time zone. I mean, it's
to be fair,
this guy Howie Roseman's just working.
Brad Holmes is like a 1 a.m. guy. We've gotten some Lions news at like midnight. Yeah. So I might be up all night and then wake up early for work tomorrow and hope that
I think if there is, let's just say hypothetically, let's just say in a hypothetical world, no move is made. I think that would be one of the more disappointing moments over the last couple of years with this Lions team. I think this deadline, and we're not saying it from a point of this team is bad, make a move. We're saying it from you need help. Okay, that's different. Like you're a team that's kind of this like borderline contender. Like they've shown they can be, they've shown they can't be. It's like Brad's made a move every deadline.
Yeah.
I just like they added, I think Zadarius was the best player they added. I'm not just talking about the edge. I'm just talking about the player. It took Aiden dying on the field for that to happen. You can go make a trade and get a pretty good player, Joe Patoni, whoever it is, some offensive line. You don't need anyone to die on the field. I mean, you can. I mean, Chris Mahogany technically just is out for most of the year. You can still go get some talent, Brad. Like I don't want to die on people's Jones.
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
If he doesn't, it's disappointing. Because then I mean, really at that point, it's like, when are you going? Like, when are we going to go all in? Like, what has to happen for you to go all in? He did, like, again, that's why I am confident he does. A lot of people are saying he's not going to. He never does. He did it last year with Zadarius Smith. Hutch goes down. He went and got Zadarius Smith. He did it. He was like, we have a need. We're going to go do it. I think there's a need at offensive line.
Yeah.
Not even I think there is a need. There is a need. And you can't sit there and be like, I will rely on Yodi to go out there. Like, I think Yodi is a good football player, but he's not a long-term starter in the NFL. He's not at that level.
He's just like a.
So you got to go get and there's guys available. Why there's guys available right now. It's not like there's just no one available.
Titans just made a trade. They traded Ravens got Jermont Jones for a 5th. I like Jermont Jones too. He's a good player. See, teams are making moves. You got to get active. I'm telling you, guys are, there's not too many good players available every deadline. And if you don't make a move, they're going to start dropping like flies, man. So hopefully we'll see. Maybe you're right. Maybe I have to watch after the show. Brad makes a move.
Something's going to happen. I know a lot of people, and I see a lot of Lions fans being very negative and being like, no trade. Like, I put the tweet out today. What do you guys think? There are a lot of people like they're not going to make a move. I do have confidence, and I might look very stupid. Brad might make me look really dumb. I do have a lot of confidence that Brad Holmes makes a trade. I do. I don't think Brad's been a guy. He has made a trade at every deadline, has he not?
Yeah, because we'll trade away TJ, trade it for DPJ, trade it for Zadarius.
I don't see a world where this seems like the most important one, and he just wouldn't do it.
I don't. Oh, fan.
Jacoby Brissett touchdown. Jacoby Brissett anytime touchdown.
Jacoby
Brissett anytime touchdown.
No.
Jacoby Brissett anytime touchdown.
No way.
Jacoby Brissett. I saw this other. I'm just going to say this because I'm going to need your advice here in just a second. I should ride this one out. I have a parlay, that one that I told you that went across my Twitter, plus 85,000. $5 to win 4,200. The two hardest ones was Dallas Cowboys defensive touchdown and Jacoby Brissett anytime. The only thing I need left is George Pickens touchdown and 80 yards and under 55.5. Do I cash that out?
What's left on
Jersey Jerry's?
Yeah, Jersey Jerry's.
Jacoby Brissett interception, 6 Dak yards, and a CeeDee Lamb touchdown. That's so possible. That's so possible.
That is so, dude. This guy, I swear, this guy needs to be. He might need to be investigated. He might need to be investigated. That's what I think. This guy called a Jacoby. For people that don't know, notable personality from Barstool put out a parlay with Jacoby Brissett scoring a touchdown tonight, and I laughed at it. I mean, it's like he hasn't scored in 3 years, and he scored tonight. It's just like, I don't know how these people have the script for this shit. It doesn't make any sense.
So good, dude. This guy, like the keys to wisdom. Booner's fakes bets are legendary. Jeff, are they fake? I think I sent the slip, and Easy's in the chat too. If Easy's in there, I sent the slip to the boys. I sent the slip. $5 to 2,400 yesterday, and now I have I have this other one. Did you see in our group chat? Do I cash out? Do I keep that one? I got a rider, right?
Yeah, that's insane. You got.
I mean, I won yesterday, so it's like not like I need that cash out.
Where'd you get that one from? Oh, the guy you told me
That was
about?
just a random, just scrolling. That was just a random one scrolling, dude. It literally just popped up in my algorithm, and I was like, I don't know why it popped up, but
that's insane, dude.
Imagine if I hit the plus 85,000 and then a plus 79,000 yesterday.
By the way, shout out to the artist formerly known as Booner's daddy. He became a member early in the show. I didn't give him any love there, so appreciate you for that.
Thanks for that. Thanks. Hey, shout out, man. Welcome to the show.
Hey, we'll talk about the NFC North. We'll get into that conversation, but first you got to hear from our friends over at Sleeper. I've interrupted the video to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper in the new promotion they have going on. A brand new promotion is now live on Sleeper that could be paired with the 100% deposit match promotion that's already been going on. It's a free $20, no deposit required, plus first-time users will also receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Use the code CT Sports. You guys should already be using Sleeper. It's one of the fastest organically growing fantasy platforms in the entire world with millions and millions of active users. They are crushing it. And if your state allows it, you should be using Sleeper Picks. It's a real money product that connects friends over picks. You just choose 2 to 8 of your favorite players from pregame live or across different sports. Pick more or less than the predicted stats. And on Sleeper, you can get up to 1,000x payouts. Share with your friends. Get rewarded together. Don't forget, code CT Sports. Get a $100 deposit up to $100, and you got your free $20 entry. Sleeper is taking care of their customers. Always remember, gamble responsibly. Now let's get back to the video. All right, let's talk about this NFC North division. All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
The Packers are 5-2-1. The Lions are 5-3. Bears are 5-3, and the Vikings are 4-4. The Lions are 1-2 in the NFC North, and they are back-to-back NFC North champions.
What were you thinking about there? What was going through your mind?
I was making sure they were going on their potentially third straight NFC North championship. What's the feeling? What's the vibe right now in the NFC North? At least your confidence level, because they so far lost the first matchup with the Packers and the Vikings. Vikings are a game. Basically, I mean, Lions, let's say, lose this week. They won't. I don't think so. But let's say they do hypothetically and the Vikings win. Now you're tied with the Vikings all of a sudden. So this thing could get very tricky. The Bears just won, so they're tied with you. Packers lost, which is good. I don't want to think that way because the Packers also lost Tucker Kraft for the year, which is terrible. I have Tucker Kraft in fantasy, but, the Packers are struggling without him. He's like their passing game, essentially. What are the vibes right now for you, Boone? Right now in the NFC North, you still have full confidence, or are you a little? It's not as. I don't think it's the NFC West is also another division like this where they have like 3 teams with the same record. It's going to be a battle right now for this division. I mean,
listen. I didn't think, if I'm just being honest with you, I think we all were on the same page with this. I didn't think that this NFC North for this season was going to have all these teams like over 500 again. Do you know what I mean? And it's actually crazy because I thought the Bears, I think I had the Bears finishing 4th, but I thought they were going to win 7-8 games. But the fact that right now you're sitting in the NFC North and you have the Packers at 5-2-1, the Lions at 5-3, the Bears at 5-3, and then the Vikings at 4-4 at over 500 or at 500 exactly. There's no other division that's like this. There's not, and it's a tough division. I can't say, if I'm being honest, I can't sit here and be like, yeah, like I have a bet for the Lions to win a division. I'm not confident that's going to hit. I just think this division is so good. There's a chance anyone can come out of this. Because the Bears don't have the best schedule. The Vikings are like kind of right there with the Lions have the toughest schedule out of all of them too.
That's the
which
thing.
Makes it tough. Like it's you're going through a gauntlet when some of these other teams, like the Bears, they finished last year. They're playing a last place schedule. That makes it tough for you. It really does.
Yeah, that's the thing that you have to look at too is the schedule for the Lions, which that's the deciding factor for this because they have the Commanders this week, which obviously looks way different than it did before in the summer. The Commanders looked way different. They're not going to have half their roster, so that's good for the Lions. But you have the Eagles, the Giants should be a win. It's at home.
Yeah.
But, like we say, you say that's a win, but you never know with some of these teams. And then you have Green Bay on Thanksgiving. So 2 of the next 4 are going to be tough games. But really 3 of the next 6 are going to be tough games because then you have the Rams in LA. That's December 14th. And you have Dallas in between there, which Dallas, I don't know what Dallas team you're getting. That would be, I think, Thursday Night Football. So I guess over the next 6 games, you have Philly, Green Bay, Dallas, LA. That's 4 matchups, which are going to be pretty tough. I mean, obviously the least tough would probably be on paper, Dallas. But like that schedule, and then like you finish the year, Pittsburgh, which is kind of iffy. You don't know what Pittsburgh team you're getting. That's kind of a weird one. And then Minnesota, which you know you're going to be in Minnesota, and then Chicago for the rematch in Chicago.
I'll tell you what too, and dead honest, that Packers game. If you lose the Packers game, you will not win the division. There's no way. There's zero chance. That puts you essentially. That gives the Packers the tiebreaker. And that puts you essentially like how Dan says it all the time when you know these divisional games, those are two game swings essentially. If you lose that Packers game, that gives them a win, gives you a loss, you're in a bad spot at that point. That's a huge game.
Yeah.
That's like an NFC North championship game.
Yeah, I mean that game will be basically to decide the division. I mean, I think it's still going to be, in my opinion, I still think it's going to be 2 teams. I mean, the Bears are tied, but I think it's only going to be Packers Lions when it's all said and done. And it's going to come down to that matchup on Thanksgiving in Ford Field against the Packers. You know, and that's why it's just when you get into the thick of it and you're in the middle of the season and things are, you know, bullets are flying, you know, these things get a little tricky sometimes. It gets a little worrying. Like, and now we're at a point where the Lions are kind of up and down. You don't know what team you're getting kind of week to week basis. They could blow out some of these teams, or they could play close games with some of these teams. And then you have other teams in the NFC North that are kind of making some noise, man. Like I had the Lions at 12-5. I still think they'll end up 12-5. I had the Packers at 10-7. I think. Do
you think that still happens?
I don't know. They'll probably win more than that. It'll probably be, I think, a game difference. I think it'll be like a 12-5, 11-6, or it could be 12-5, 12-5, with coming down to like the NFC opponents kind of thing. Like it could come down.
Well,
to like,
it's you know what it would come down to with the Packers. They have a tie. You're done.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, they would be.
You're done.
12-4-1.
If they're 12-4-1, you're done.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah, you're in a wild card spot and you're on the road in the playoffs.
And that's tough. One of their losses is to the an AFC opponent, and then they lost to the Panthers.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, I think it's impossible. You want none of that matters, to be honest, because it's impossible to tie them because they have a tie.
Yeah, that tie would fuck you. I mean, that was basically
unless the Lions tie, but that's the tiebreaker. There's no tiebreaker with the Packers.
Yeah, that's people keep saying Dolak, Sean Dolak. ETN Packers will probably finish 11-5-1. Yeah, I think that it's gonna come down to I think it's still 2 teams. I have the Bears at 9-8. I think that's still
tough. Your magic number is essentially 12, and you can only afford 2 more losses.
I mean, let's see. Let me look at the Packers schedule. So the Packers have Philly next week on Monday Night Football.
Okay.
So they got Philly, and then they go to New York to face the Giants.
Win.
And then they have Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago. So they have 3 NFC North opponents.
Let's say they win 2 of those 3. They're at 3 wins. Now, who else do they have?
They have Denver, Chicago, Baltimore.
That's actually not a walk in the park.
With Minnesota again.
Yeah, I mean they don't have the worst schedule, but they don't have the best schedule either. They don't have a walk in the park. I think this Vikings team's going to give some of these teams a fight after seeing what they did yesterday with us. I truly do believe that. I know how bad we played, like all around. I think that gives them a little bit of confidence. I really do.
Yeah, I mean the Bears they all have similar schedules, just different. Like the Bears have the Giants and then the Vikings, Steelers, Philly, Green Bay. That's a tough 3-game stretch.
Yeah.
Cleveland, Green Bay, 49ers, Detroit. I mean, they have a gauntlet at the end. They have Green Bay and not back to back.
That's Chicago.
Yeah. I still think they finished 9-8, 8-9, something like that.
They just keep winning games though that they're not supposed to win. I feel like that Dallas game. Yeah, Washington. I know Washington didn't have Jane Daniels. I guess now they just are winning games. They should win this Giants game. That puts them at what? 6-3.
And then they get Minnesota, which could go. I mean, they lost to Minnesota already.
So let's say they give them that 7-3, lose to
Steelers, Eagles, Green Bay.
Let's say they win one of those games. They're at 8. They beat the Browns at 9.
And then they have
And then they
Green
just
Bay,
have to
San
win
Francisco.
one of the last 3 to have 10 wins. That's actually, they could win 10 games.
Yeah, that they have that could go. A lot of those games could go either way.
Wow. The Bears Ben Johnson could go in there and win 10 games right away. Klotz has to hate that, huh?
Yeah, apparently Klotz told me all offseason they're in a rebuild. So
Yeah, I remember I was on your side with that whole thing. I was like, there's no way. Ben Johnson, I think it was me. I think we actually, oh no, we made the Dallas Cowboys bet with him. I thought maybe we made a pizza bet as well with him and the Bears, but
yeah, he's acting like the Bears are going to be a rebuild.
what was it was 7.5 that was the number we had for the Cowboys, wasn't it?
Yeah, 7 or 8.5. I don't remember.
They have 3 wins right now and they're losing.
Oh yeah, shout out to Evan. Evan says, "When is the money spread coming, Boone?" I mean, this guy's
shout out Evan.
Booner might be on one of the hottest heaters of all.
I got something tonight cooking that I feel like I should just cash out and just run with what I There's no way that George Pickens scores a touchdown, right?
And you got to get 80 yards.
80. So but that's 50. But like in my mind, I could win that much money, and all I need is one like deep bomb to George Pickens, and the under to have, and then to go under 55.5. Like that's not that crazy, especially with them losing.
Yeah, it's fair
for that much money. Imagine if that happened.
You said that one popped up on that one popped up on your feed.
My For You page, yeah, just on Twitter, just scrolling, it just popped up. I went, this is kind of
$5. Nice your cash out's 184.
It's at 199 right now.
And if you let it ride, you could win basically over 4,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just let it ride, right? And all I need is it to go.
Hurt.
All I need is no way he is.
Is that true? I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not.
Now he'll come back. They're losing. They need him to win. They need to win. Essentially all I need is one deep touchdown pass to George Pickens and it to be under 55.5. To win that much, that's not that crazy to happen. Everyone yesterday told me to cash out of the one that I had yesterday.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to say anything.
The whole chat, all of you guys, everyone was like, cash
Caleb
out,
looked
cash
at you
out.
and said, if you found $400 on the ground, would you pick it up?
Yeah. And it's just like it's a $5 bet too. It's not like I put like a bunch of money on it.
You might as well just let it ride.
Yeah, it's literally a $5 bet. Like I know 5 is like, but it's just like I was like, all right, just $5. Like,
yeah, I mean that's just how it goes.
Xavier D hates gambling talk, by the way. Yeah, every time.
Hey, whether people want to admit it or not, I'm not saying. Like, listen, we spent a couple minutes. We talked about gambling here. It's just part of sports. It's the biggest thing in sports. As much as I mean, it literally is. I mean, it's just how it goes, man. I mean, I get people might not enjoy it, but everyone gambles, whether you agree with it or not. Before we have about 15 minutes left. We'll get in mailbag in a couple of minutes. We can't have this conversation we have in prep, or we can save it for tomorrow. You want to save it and just do mailbag? Because I know you put it in there. We were going to get to it at 9:30, but we weren't able to. Do you want to just get to mailbag?
Yeah, let's do. I mean, we could do an extended mailbag, a trade deadline mailbag.
Let's do that.
Deal. We could do trade deadline and just like Lions in general, because it feels like this is a pretty big. It's not even 24 hours anymore. What are we sitting at now?
It's tomorrow.
18 hours.
Yeah,
it's 4 o'clock, so we're 18 hours away.
Drop your mailbag questions in the chat. And we'll get to mailbag, extended mailbag. Whatever you guys want to ask, thoughts, questions, concerns, opinions. Xavier says, Booner, I work with high school arts kids. They're all fucking gambling in sports, which they know nothing about. Well, that's most gamblers. I mean,
isn't that illegal? They're in high school. Don't you have to be 21 to gamble? No, is it 21?
Just rat them out.
Yeah, isn't it 21?
Yes,
or is it 18? Maybe it's 18.
18.
Just don't do it until you're 21, or don't do it at all. You know, how about that?
Yeah, we don't encourage it, but it's a free country.
Yeah,
do whatever you want.
It's like you know, it's like Zins. Don't encourage them. People do them.
Yep. DM5 TV. Does cheap Brad Holmes? Oh, that's messed up. Does cheap Brad Holmes make a move tomorrow? Mailbag.
Yes, guarantee. I will guarantee it. I'll buy Jeff a pizza if he doesn't. Jeff, do you want to do a pizza bet? You get me one if he doesn't?
No, because I agree with you. I think he does. Now I'm just forcing it at that point. I think he does. We'll get 2 pizzas if he does.
All right, we'll have a pizza. We'll have a pizza this weekend. Yeah, let's get a pizza this week.
We don't get food at all. We just don't eat. That's how it goes. Yes, I do think he makes a move. I think they're at a point right now where it'd be tough to make an argument why they shouldn't make a move. I would love to be a fly on the wall in Brad's office. Man, just to see what he's thinking. I just want to see what Brad's thinking. You
know what's crazy? I'll guarantee you, he's there right now. He's not at home.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, as a GM, obviously you're working all year. It's a busy job. It's a 12-month job, 365. There are your game days. Your game days are the NFL draft, free agency day, and the trade deadline. If Brad Holmes was sitting at home right now and he was just having dinner with the fam at, just normal night, good, he better be in the office. I hope they have a bet in the office for that man. And I hope he might have us. We might be turned on in Allen Park right now. They might have us on the TV and Brad's listening to it. Brad, if you're listening to us, give us a sign, but give us someone. Like give me an offensive lineman.
Hold on. Let's get to these questions first. Keys to wisdom. Mail sack. Do you guys remember how reliable Zeitler and Sewell were together on the right side last year? Go get that man back. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. All right, I'm not saying you're wrong at all. You gotta be like, you gotta make Tate play left then. That's what it comes down to. Because Zeitler's not, especially if you're already saying Sewell and Zeitler together, then you're gonna have to move Tate to left, which I don't know. Maybe he would be cool with that. But I'm cool with Zeitler. I have no problem with it. I just think it's more of a fit with Joel, especially because you want to bolster up Taylor's side. No offense, love Taylor. All right, but he's been a little up and down too. So I'd like to get him a little bit of help on that side, and Joel Bitonio can do that. But I'm not going to be mad if they go get Kevin Zeitler. I'm not. But he went to Tennessee for personal reasons. Like, he knew the offensive line code.
Yeah, I think he's at the end of his career too. Like, he's, especially
after what Tennessee's doing this year, he's like, I'm out.
He might just retire at the end of the season. Yeah, it might be it for him.
Dom says, Mailbag Jeff, why are Lions fans blaming everyone but Goff? I don't want to hear about the O-line. The guy's got the best weapons in the NFL by far.
Can we shut this off? Turn this. Let's just move on. That's insane.
Listen, I don't think you should be blaming Goff. I just think it's about, we understand what Goff is. He needs to be protected, man. Like, he's not mobile. He's not great under pressure. That's just what it is.
I would argue with the pressure that he's gotten, he's played decent off of that, to be honest, based off of who he is and what he is as a quarterback.
Yeah.
What you expect out of Goff. Like, if he's getting pressured, you expect him to play bad. Like Cory brought up, if you do look at his stat line, obviously you don't want to just box score watch, but like, his stats weren't actually that bad yesterday. If he had any sort of run game, if they had like 2% more of a run game, they probably win that game. You can't. There's nothing on Goff yesterday. I don't think nothing.
Yep. Listen, man. He wasn't good. He wasn't perfect yesterday, but I think you point to things like they got to help him out a little bit here, protect him, run the ball better. That's what it comes down to. Travis Clark, Mailbag Booner. You guys should have a segment. What grinds Booner's gears around the NFL?
There's a lot of things, but. What's something recently that's grinded my gears? Can you think of something that I've been mad about in the NFL? I don't know.
Oh, you're definitely a take of mine. The Chiefs.
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah, and they did lose yesterday, but I don't think that affects them much. To be honest, the Bills.
Oh,
I'm high on the Bills. I'm high on the Bills. I had them top 5. That's a good loss. It's not crazy to say.
We literally agreed. We're like, this is going to be a big measuring stick for them.
For sure, but they're not going to be outside of my top 5. You already had them outside your top 5. They're still a top 5 team even with that loss.
You said they were the best team in the NFL.
I thought they were. I did. I truly did.
Well, same with the Lions. I mean, we both. I mean, they both
Yeah, I have the Bills as a top 5 team. I had them.
Facing teams winning records. What are they now?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But either way, though, that was a good game last night that they were in. It wasn't like they got blown out. That was just it was a fun football game. They lost by 1 touchdown, and they had opportunities down the stretch.
Yeah, we'll have our top 10 Tuesday tomorrow. We'll sort all that out. Let's see here. J Hart, Mailbag, Pistons hooping.
Yeah, they are. They're having a good night. Pistons look really good, dude.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Jalen Duren.
Looks good.
That was my player to take the next big step this year. He's looked fucking great, dude. He had 30. He dominated the Mavericks. 30-something and 10, dominated, and then he's been really. He's averaging like 18 and 10. Asar's averaging like 15 points. You know, like they're playing really well, man. Duncan's back. He's getting in a rhythm. Like they got a good bench. Cade's back. He almost had 20 and 20 the other night.
Cade's looked really good. Cade's he's every single game he's getting a double-double, it feels like now, the last like 3 or 4 games. Every single time.
Yeah, that's dude, they look great.
Yeah.
We'll be talking more about the Pistons, don't worry. They look really good. Fired up about it. Adam Kerr, are you guys in favor of paying a first at the deadline for a long-term O-lineman solution?
First at the deadline.
Like who?
Not a first. I mean, a first is. Like, I don't even think there's going to be an offensive lineman available for a first, if I'm being honest. Because if someone's getting rid of an offensive lineman, they're probably, contracts up. You could probably get them from second or third. I think Brad.
I don't know. I just would know. I want to know what a solution. Are you going to trade for a first round for a center? No. Trade for a left tackle? Like who are you paying a left tackle? I mean, they just traded. Did the
first? I mean, that has to be like
one of the best
trade for Trent Williams. Like,
yeah, like you're trading for an elite tackle. I would be skeptical with that one though, Adam Kerr. I don't think they do. I don't think they give up a first for.
My only thing, like, I actually do believe this. I think Brad. I do think again he's going to make a trade. I actually think he might be struggling to make a trade because of that third round situation. Maybe you lose a little bit of leverage if you don't. I mean, he might have to either give up more in like a second round pick, but like he did give up a lot of third rounds for Isaac Tesla. So you lose some leverage because you don't have first rounds or third rounds the next year or so.
One Pride 40 is Jack Campbell, top 5 linebacker.
Yes.
I would say one of the only highlights of yesterday's game was Jack Campbell.
So good, dude.
Dude, he's just like, I feel
he's
bad.
Elite.
He was the only dude out there that was like, I mean, even the pass, the roughing the passer call was bullshit. That was bullshit.
Yeah.
Because I know he landed on him, but like he didn't hit him in the helmet. I mean, he basically just landed. I mean, what do you want him to do? I think Jim Costa said, what do you want him to do? Stop gravity? I mean, that's essentially what they wanted him to do at that point. Like Jack's been one of the best defensive players this year. Like he's actually been better, and I'll say this, better than Brian Branch this year. He's been better.
Jack?
No question, yeah.
Yeah, outside of Hutch, it's Jack number 2 for sure.
Yeah, he's been better than Brian Branch, and I love Brian Branch, but
he's on track to be an all-pro linebacker for sure right now.
He's balling, dude. Yeah, you can't take anything away from him. Let's see. We got let me see this. Travis Clark. Mailbag, do you guys think the Colts will keep up the run through the playoffs?
They're an interesting one.
Not in that conference. Are you talking about run through the playoffs, like make a run to the Super Bowl or something? No.
Can I ask you this? Who do you have more confidence in to make a run in the playoffs, the Colts or the Patriots?
I would say.
I think that's a good question. I think that's a great It's
a good question. I would say the way Drake May's playing, I would probably go Drake May. I think the Patriots. And I like Vrabes. I think Vrabes has been in an NFC Championship game. Like he's coached in some big games. But then I think the defense for the Patriots has been a little better than the Colts. The Colts defense has been a little inconsistent. So I would lean the Patriots, but the only argument you could probably say against Patriots is just Drake May's youth. But I love Drake May. I think that I would go Patriots on that one. because it's quarterback. Once you get in the playoffs, man, your quarterback's got to make plays. And as much as Daniel Jones is playing well this year, I would take Drake May in those big games, man. Like he already went head to head with Josh Allen, and they beat him. And that's a playoff team that you.
The only thing, it's like that run. Like the Colts defense is so good. Like I really like that Colts defense. But then like you got Jonathan Taylor, who can if you can run the ball in the playoffs. Yeah, I do like Drake May though. I love Drake
Daniel
May.
Jones he didn't look great. I mean, he threw for a bunch of yards, but he had the bad picks, 2 bad picks. So he just has to bounce back from that. But yeah, that's a good one though. Those are 2 teams that are kind of in the same tier, in my opinion. And honestly, I can't believe the Patriots 7-2.
Yeah, they look really good, man. I mentioned it last week. I think if there is a quiet team that could make a run in the playoffs to win the Super Bowl, I would not be shocked if the Patriots are sitting there in the AFC Championship game. I really believe that too. I do. Mm-hmm. I do believe that.
By the way, shout out to Bam Knight. He's playing for the Cardinals. I just realized. Shout out Zonovan. He played for the Lions.
For a little bit. Didn't he go from the Jets to the Lions? Now he's with the Cardinals. That man's moving everywhere.
Yeah, played for the Lions for 1 year. Irv Gotti, fellas, I went to the game. It was so embarrassing. The Lions lost against KC, Packers, and Vikings. What will the conversation be if they lose to Washington? I
don't see them losing to. If I'm being honest, I do not see them losing on Sunday. I would be shocked. I would be shocked.
Class action suit. Yeah, I mean that would be. We would be having. It would be.
I would be shocked. I don't know what. I would be thrown off, dude. If they.
That would be bad.
That would be nuts if they lost to the Commanders. No Jaden Daniels. By the way, Frankie Louvu out Sunday, suspended 1 game without pay. Just came out before the show.
There's no way they lose this. Dude, they're out. Marshawn Lattimore's out. They don't have, like you said, Frankie
Louvu, Jaden Daniels. That injury too. I'll tell you what.
Warren's still out. I mean, I think
Terry's. I think he's week to week, kind of questionable. This is like a soft tissue, I think, as well.
Dude, that would be I don't even know. Irv Gotti, we wouldn't want to. I think that would be tough. People wouldn't want to. You would have to tune into that show because you would want to see.
Oh my gosh, dude!
I mean, I would be furious, dude. Yeah. By the way, Dan Quinn, what the hell are you doing playing Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, that's tough. He was playing everyone. Debo was out there.
You're down 30-something points in it for a guy who's coming off an injury. Not even. This isn't even about Bo Nix coming back against the Giants. I mean, he's dealing with injuries, and you don't take him out.
That was a tough look, man.
It's ridiculous.
That was a really tough look.
Good show today, though, Boone. Good show. Appreciate you all. By the way, shout out to DraftKings Sports and Social. We had a great day yesterday. It was a great time.
That's such a good spot, dude.
We'll be back there. We might be back there for Thanksgiving. We're still ironing that out. So if you want to come hang out, watch the football. If you're near the Troy area, come hang out with the fellas. It was a great time yesterday. We'll be back there at some point for sure this season. They took care of us. But until tomorrow, we will catch you all.
Love you guys.